How long can you be without your phone?
Depends if I'm in the gym or not.
Great answer. On a long road trip, would you rather drive or ride?
Oh, I like to drive.
Like drive?
I like to drive.
All right, got to be in command. Now, this one might make you think a little bit. When was the last time you got cussed out? By anybody, whether it's a player that snapped loose or your mom, your lady, whatever.
It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I got cussed out.
Been a couple years?
It's been a couple of years since I got cussed out.
I'm glad it's a decent memory. You know what I mean? So now we can get started. Right-handed fellowship. Now we can get it going. Now, we were talking before we turned the cameras and the mics on. I told you, this is what we're going to start with. A guy that we both know, good friend of ours, man, the great Keith Coleman. He told me one time after I got fired the first time, he was like, man, there's only two types of coaches. I said, yeah? What do you mean? He said, coaches that have been fired and coaches that are going to be fired. And, I know you went through your experience at the end of, last spring. You ended up being relieved of your duties at Muskogee after being there for, was it 7 or 8 seasons? 7 seasons as head boys basketball coach, and they decided to relieve you of your duties. And you ended up back in the saddle pretty quickly after that. Just talk about that whole experience of being fired, how you felt about it, how you feel about it now, and, leading all the way up to your most recent position. You're the head girls coach at Sand Springs now.
Well, let's go back. First of all, we had a couple years before I got fired, I had to make a decision, coaching-wise, personnel-wise.
Right.
We had a good young group of freshmen coming in, and the upperclassmen wasn't as strong as the previous. And so we made a decision. Ultimately made a decision as a head coach to see this thing through from the youth, and knowing that we was going to take a lot of lumps, but eventually that it would pay off, toward the end. Kind of like the group that I inherited when I first got there. It's kind of my plan. And, anyway, we got there. We had a 2-win season, not very good. So, but I thought we improved.
Mm-hmm. You remember which years those were, the 2-win seasons?
The 2-win was the last year.
Okay, the last year. Gotcha.
Yeah, we only won 2. So, after that season, we kind of got in an ordeal where the superintendent, we had a new superintendent that had just got in town. Mm-hmm. He really wanted to do some great things in Muskogee, which, I understood and, thought that, that's what we needed down that way. And so he told me, that he was going to give me another year because we kind of discussed that, my plan of action, previously with this young group.
Right.
And in the spring, we met right after the season. He told me he was going to give me a year to turn it around, and asked me about, what were my expectations. And so after that, we go, and of course, like me, we get in the lab. We go into the gym, we get in there, we working, and we working with the kids. And then we had the flood during that time. That's when the floods in Oklahoma, Tulsa was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And during the flood time, we got a new athletic director at the same time. And when we got the athletic director down there, I got a call, and to the superintendent's office and said, we was going to let you go. And so that's kind of how that went. It was like, well, what was the deal? We went from giving me a year to, hey, this is it. We're going to let you go, relieve you of your duties. We'd like for you to resign, and kind of thing. And me now, I put too much into this program, too many things, for me to just resign, kind of deal. So they ultimately decided that, hey, they're going in a different direction, which, I was upset, I was hurt, because that was my hometown. That was somewhere that, I really want to do some great things at. And, I've had plenty of people that tell me to leave before then, but it was something about Muskogee that I just couldn't leave. So,
right.
Sometimes you just need a little forcing to go ahead and to get you out. And I guess the athletic director and the superintendent, they decided to, go a different direction. So
Sure.
That's kind of how that went from that point. And luckily, I guess, it was late in the game, and we had words about that,
Right.
about his timing. And
Was it in the summer? Or
it was during a flood, so it was last couple of days of school.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it was the last couple of days of school, and it was like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna let you go.
I guess there's some good and bad to that. I mean, the
So,
reason why I say, because I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of, I remember when it happened to me, the first time it was like right before the Christmas break. So I had a decision to make. Do I go with my pride and just say, oh, to hell with it altogether, and just don't come back even as a teacher, and compromise my income? Because we still got to make a living.
oh yeah.
And then I was like, well, I guess I got to swallow my pride and just tough it out for 5 months and answer all those questions and deal with the looks that people give. But I guess it was that late in the year, you didn't have to deal with none of that.
Well, no, I didn't have to deal with it, but what I did have to deal with is wasn't no jobs there. So all the jobs, they come open right after the state championship game.
That's right.
Right in March, April.
March, April. That's when it's
so
hot and heavy.
That's when you got a chance to get out there and rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not a lot of jobs come up in the summer.
True.
But the funny thing is, the last 2 jobs, actually my 3 head coaching jobs I got was late summer jobs. My very first one at Rogers was a late summer, midsummer job that I took that I got at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
The Muskogee job was a late summer job I got at the last minute.
I remember that one.
And Sand Springs,
Same
late
thing.
summer job, last minute.
Now, what's your mind frame whenever it's that late in the game and you still don't have a job? Like, now it's easier to get one when you already have one.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine if you were shopping yourself around while you got a job. Have you ever set a date in your mind to where it's like, okay, if I don't get a hit by this date, I'm gonna shut it down and just declare myself right here for another go round?
Well, my thing is I just didn't want to just jump in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a lot of them came out. There was a couple of them that I interviewed for that I thought, had some good potential and good, aspirations of being a good program to be a part of.
Right.
And so that's what I wanted, kind of deal. Great. The thing about Muskogee is they was going to still allow me to be a part of the teaching staff and things like that. So they didn't just tell me, hey, you got to go, and not come back.
Good point.
And
they couldn't because you were tenured at that point.
Well, I was tenured,
You know what I mean?
but they did, they could and they couldn't have at the same time.
I feel
you know
it.
what I mean?
Got you.
So you can do what you want to do when you want to do it, and
That's
there's
right.
a way around it.
Mhm.
And they've done it in the past where they've let people go and still paid them.
There you go.
So they gave them an early kick in the butt. You know what I mean?
It's business.
So, they did offer that,
True.
and that would have been hard to do, but I was willing to do it.
Mhm.
And because I got to support the family and be able to do that kind of thing. So,
Mhm.
I was just reflecting on it and say, hey, well, if something good come open and I get it. If not, then I'll just wait around.
I hear that. I'm guessing you already had summer plans laid out for the Muskogee Boys program at that time. What was the summer going to look like had they not cut the cord on you? With team
man.
camps, summer league, what's going on?
Well, we had we got the summer pride that they had down there.
True.
So we was gonna be doing the summer pride thing, and so we would have did that. Then we had a lot of team camps and a lot of individual camps that I had them all set up for. I had all my boys at the time set up to do some AAU kind of deal, and I footed the bill for a lot of that. A lot of the different kids to go and play and be competitive. From there. So I footed a lot of that bill throughout the summers. And so again, another summer I was going to do the same. I ended up still doing it.
Yeah.
I still had a couple of the boys that, that stayed with me at the house, and we took them, and I just didn't throw them out to the pastor, kind of deal. But I went on ahead and finished up with them.
Right. What I was gearing up to, the direction I wanted to go by asking you that, because I know you're a gym rat. That's sort of how we connected some years ago. But it's hard to be that way when you don't necessarily have a facility to call your headquarters. So with you sort of being out of the door, how are you able to get your reps in and still keep your skills sharp from an instructional standpoint? I know you linked in. You got a lot of people in your village that could get you some access to some different places. Like, how did that look?
Oh man,
During that summer?
really during that time, I was really, man, I'm being honest with you, I was lost. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you just said is me being a gym rat, me loving the gym, me being around the kids and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
It caused me to really sit back and reflect and kind of look at some things. And it teaches you to appreciate. Not that I never took the game for granted, but
Mm-hmm.
it teaches you to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It teaches you to appreciate, every aspect of it more. I think that I was always one of the ones always looking for another challenge, the next game, the next thing. That I didn't quite, enjoy the wins and things like that, like I probably should have, and kind of deal, and really patted yourself on the back, or patted others, when great things happen. I was always looking, chasing that next one, and so
didn't really enjoy that moment for long enough.
No, it teaches though. It teaches that everything can be gone real fast.
True that.
So I answer your question. I just kind of sit around. I didn't do too much of nothing. I didn't want nothing to do with basketball for a while.
Okay, so that's really the answer I was looking for. I was really want to know, was it killing you to have to be still? But it don't sound like it was.
No, and again, like I said, I still had my RAU organization, Playmaker Express. So that I helped out with all the time, and so we still had that going. So we still travel. Like I said, I still pay for some boys and put some bills to go out and go to Chicago and go to different places like that. So we still do that, and I still did that, and that kind of gave me a little bit of an outlet. That gave me a little bit of to scratch that itch, and kind of deal. So, and at the same time, without the pressure.
Man, so you read my mind. I'm about to be like, I know you felt
pressure.
lighter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't have the pressure on you. They don't have to. The expectation on the players is a little bit different. So it's just kind of that.
I know you somebody. You seem you really even keel, and I know you. I wouldn't call you a perfectionist, but I say you're pretty hard on yourself. And those last couple of seasons at Muskogee with them, with the record looking like it did, I know it was tough sledding. How are you able to keep from like imploding and not kicking yourself like, man, am I doing a good job here? What kept you going even through those tough times without thinking like, man, I don't even know if I'm doing a good job type of deal? Like, how do you grade yourself? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, it's kind of one of the things I just had to, talk with another individual coaches. Is I've never really looked at the wins and losses, so much as, I have kind of this last year. I'm not a lot, but this previously I never looked at it. I always looked at it as a day-by-day thing. Are we getting better? Are my players individually getting better? Because I want us to be the best, come February and the chance in March.
When it really counts.
When it was counting, and that's kind of how I looked at it. So, I wanted to go play the toughest competition. I wanted to go stack up those talent, go against, show me who the best is. Let's line it up. I take a butt whipping.
Yeah, we take the lumps.
I take them. So, but society shows you that, that kind of thinking, it leads you into what I pretty much fell into, was a 2 in some season, because it was a brutal schedule,
right?
For a group that wasn't ready quite yet for that schedule. In the year previous, I think we won like 8-9 games that year, but we also had a brutal schedule with 3 tough tournaments, along with being in the Frontier. So it kind of teaches you something. But the year before we had an injury, and
20 of your key guys, right?
One of the key guys, and they was probably poised and averaged 25, 30 points a game that season. And so, once he went down and the season wasn't as great as it was, we had some good wins and some key wins, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. But that whole, to say the least, that whole experience showed me that you might want to start looking at this wins and losses a little bit more than just the old-fashioned way of competition and getting better. So I think that's the only thing that really came out of that deal for me, is I'm a little bit more conscious on my scheduling.
I hear that. And from a personnel standpoint, how do you determine when you have a team coming in for the following year, when you're making the schedule? How do you gauge it to be like, all right, maybe I think this team could handle a rigorous schedule, whereas you may have a team the following year that's young, inexperienced, and they need some confidence boosters, so you may fluff it a little bit. Like, how do you determine? Is that how you break it down? Like, this group is young, this group is vets?
Yeah, I think that is it. You want that young. You want the when you got a veteran group that's good. You can have a veteran group.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You can have a veteran group that's not good.
Yeah, they
you know
old,
what I mean?
but
They old, but they ain't no good.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've seen that before where you got 8 seniors, but I mean, now none of the 8 seniors are really gonna go play after they leave here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you just gotta have that group where you got, you know, some potential mid-major, high college players. You know, that's gonna be playing for you when you're gonna set up a schedule like that. But you know, what I kind of found from that, even those groups,
right.
you still don't just want to go out there and just put them in a gauntlet night after night.
Right.
You know, because you don't never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? They kids, they 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. You want them to be battle tested, of course, but you also, you know, that you want them to be able to have that confidence. You know, you want to be able to have, I guess, not some nights off, but some games where as long as we play our C game, that we should be able to come out here and win. You know, and we didn't have to be on our A-B game every single night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because their level of focus ain't going to be that high.
Right.
You know, so I think you just got to kind of look at that. But I'm at the point now where, you know, it's, you know, where, hey, the way the whole, in my career at Muskogee is we've always kind of got the low end of the totem pole when it came to seeding. And the way the seating is, you know, set up from 6A, 5A, is done by the coaches.
Right.
You know, and if you close to the record of another coach, whether your record was a tougher schedule or not, it comes between the buddy system.
Right.
You know, and I've always gotten the low end of the buddy system.
Right.
You know, so whether I was supposed to be a 4 or 5 seed, I always end up that 8, 9 seed, which is one tough game to be in.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so
that elimination game is far from a cakewalk.
No, it is. And so, you know, that's kind of what you get. So you start to see that and you start to learn that, and 2 or 3 wins make a difference between you being a 4 seed or you can be an 8, 9 seed. You know, and that's tough. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where you want to try to position yourself is so that you can get that 1 or 2 extra wins versus might go the other way.
True that. Good breakdown on that one there. Okay, bring me to the current. You're at Sand Springs now, head girls basketball coach. Those that know that you started your high school coaching career coaching girls at Tulsa Rogers. Then you make the jump to the boys' side when you went to Muskogee as the head boys coach there, and now you're back on the girls' side, and you dibble and dabble on both sides of it in the summertime. So
right.
Is this right up your alley? This right in your wheelhouse?
Man, you know what? I would say it was just good to be back closer to the moms. You know,
who lives in Tulsa, right?
Back closer to the families. You know, nieces, nephews. You know, back closer where the kids and stuff. You know, they were in school. So. That's a great thing for me. Coaching wise, girls, boys, it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. You know, they both got the good and the bad to them. You know
That's
what
right.
I mean? I just like coaching. I think women or young ladies need a good father figure, a good, you know, strong male role model just as much as the males do. You know, and so being able to help them through some things, you know, and help them out in life. You know, it's just as important to me as it was with the boys. So that's the fun part, is just dealing with the youth and watching them grow and, you know, becoming model citizens of society.
True that. What are some of the good and bad, some of the pros and cons to both genders? And I'll throw my little philosophy out there, and you know, correct me if I say something that's off key. I think that in my experiences, you know, girls, they tend to listen to you like to a fault sometimes, to where they become like mechanical and robotic. You'll say, hey, shoot the ball, because they've been passing up shots, right? Next possession, they'll come down and shoot it with a hand in their face and get it blocked. And you say, why you do that? And they say, Coach, you told me to shoot it. And I'm like, all right, well, don't turn your instincts off. You know what I mean? And then the fellas, I feel like you can show them the base set, right? Or show them how it's supposed to be done from a foundation standpoint. They say, I got it. And then immediately go out there and just start ad-libbing. And it's like, wait a minute, at least try it the right way first before you touch the stove. Like, to that, you say what, man?
Nah, I say that's pretty accurate. I was just watching a show where Gino was doing it behind the scenes with the UConn girls. And one of the things he was just on there talking about, he just said that, he's like, why is it that this group of girls, it was his new group that he got after that team that had just won 3 straight. And he was like, you know, why is there a group of girls that they want you to sit there and give them the exact recipe with the exact things to put in? He said, instead of just going out there trying to trust their instinct within the realm of what I'm trying to show them, and let their creativity. But he said, I think it is that the girls, they're scared to make that mistake. They don't want to make that mistake, and they don't want to let you down.
Right.
Or boys are hard-headed. They don't mind making some mistakes. They don't mind going out there, and trying and doing some things. So in that aspect, I think you're right. That's kind of the thing. The girls really want direction. They want step by step. Do I put my left foot here, right foot here? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
No matter what I'm lined up against.
No matter what. I'm going to do exactly that. I would say this, though, and I tell a lot of people that the new age boys, especially younger ones, generation, are closer to coaching girls than the older generation of boys. Them last few years of coaching Muskogee, it was a very emotional group. I mean, very sensitive group. And so you really had to watch what you say. You had to watch how you say it. I had players crying in practice,
Wow.
because I told them they didn't do something right, and they just bust out crying. You know what I mean? So, you have those kind of things, and I think that's with this new age, and they're not as tough and hard nosed as it used to be, and which is what girls are. A lot of them are a lot more sensitive, and you got to kind of watch how you say things and the way you word things, and
Right.
Kind of deal. So I think the new age boys kind of helped me get ready to transition back to the girls a little bit more.
I will give you this though, man, because we've never worked on the same staff, but we've worked together a lot, and I've learned from you in a lot of respects in terms of being able to communicate differently from individual to individual. You know what I mean? So I'd say you do that pretty well. So like whenever you have a moment like that where you I guess set off something emotionally in one of your players, do you immediately go to, oh man, how can I make this right? Or do you ever have a moment to where it's like, no, I know what I said and how I said it, and you needed to hear it just like you heard it, and you needed to feel exactly what you're feeling right now? How do you know when you did it right versus when you might have messed it up?
It just all depends.
Okay.
You gotta know those individuals. It all come down to relationship with everything.
Right.
The individuals. You got some of them that you let them kick the trash can and you let them walk out, and I'll talk about it tomorrow when it all come back down to it. Then you got some of them that they kick that trash can, you go right back out to them, grab them and pull them right back out, and things to go right back. So it's just knowing the player, knowing what they're going through. And a lot of times, if you got a good relationship with the players, you know what they're going through at home. When I found out, a lot of things don't really stem exactly from the court. It might stem from the home. And, the more you know about what's going on with their home life, the more you know about what's going on outside of basketball. Then you can kind of know how to judge and how to react and how to, talk to that individual, on them given days. I got individuals, like right now that I'm dealing with, I've been around a lot of them that have lost their mom, okay? Yeah. And things like that. So when those times come and those dates come around, they're going to be a little bit more sensitive during that time. You know what I mean? And
sort of on edge.
On edge. And so you have to be, cognizant about that. And so I had some of those, kind of deals in, Muskogee as well as individuals. So you got to be, aware of those and know that time and be sensitive. But if you know your players and you know their backgrounds and you get to know them, then you kind of know how to react and how to judge them. And then there's some moments where it don't matter what they're going through, this ain't the time for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you kind of let them know that. But you got to have a relationship with them to know that, no, this ain't personal.
Yeah, I got two more Muskogee related questions because that was your longest tenured job situation thus far, right? Since you've been coaching.
It is.
7 seasons.
Junior college, 3 years of Rogers, 7 years there.
That's a lot. Number one thing that I was always fascinated by is how much turnover from year to year that you would have within your staff. And I know that a lot of times there were situations that weren't necessarily in your control, but like the burden fell on you to make a move on somebody or make a move for somebody that, it may not have been pick number one or somebody that you knew. Like, man, what part of the game is that, man? How difficult is that having to make a decision like, damn, I'm getting ready to lose somebody valuable either because he's deciding to go into a different profession, or he's getting ready to, you know, expand his career and take another gig, and now you got to hit the pavement again, finding somebody else to join that staff, and not taking just anybody, but realizing you sort of up against a deadline, you got to have this spot filled. Like, how do you go through that seemingly year after year?
Well, for me, you know, the good thing about me, I feel like that is that I could run a whole program essentially by myself. And so with that being said, it doesn't put me in a situation where I feel like I have to be rushed to fill a spot.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So it's one of them deals where, you know, if a spot opens or something like that happens, then, you know, I can go ahead and take my time and get the one that fits me. Because I'm a big advocate when it comes to assistants, that I'd rather have somebody I can trust versus somebody that just a guru of the game.
Right.
Because
that
just
you
because they're a guru that you got to watch. And you know, and a lot of times that's what, you know, a lot of head coaches and things like that I've seen over the years is that's what happens is, you know, they get somebody in a circle and you can't trust them, and, you know, they get you and stab you in the back, you know, kind of deal. So that's why I am particular about that. But as far as, like, you know, filling spots or people leaving, I coach, and when I got into coaching, I like to have coaches that want to be head coaches or want to do other things.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just not content, you know, on this is it, you know, kind of thing. Because I think they're going to give you more.
Yep.
And they're going to try to want more, you know. And I also, you know, I give the assistant coaches as much rope as they want.
That's true.
You know, as far as if you want to be a quiet coach over here that, you know, don't really opinionate, then okay, that's fine. But if you do want to be opinionated, okay, then be opinionated. Be involved, you know, be heavily involved.
Right.
You know, so I don't really force it on them, you know, because then I don't think that you're going to get the genuine best out of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a kid that you make have to get in the gym every day.
Yeah.
They're going to get in the gym, but, you know, how effective is their work?
Yeah, are they loving it?
Are they loving it? Catch a kid that love it that's doing it on their own, they're going to work hard.
Easy.
So, you know, as far as like vacancies and things like that, that's kind of how I approach it. You know, I hated to lose them, you know, especially I had some really good ones,
right?
You know, but you know, they all had to go on and go their separate ways, and, you know, do what's best for them and their families and things like that. And you know, a lot of times, you know, it's a financial situation. You know what I mean? And so if you can't provide for them financially, you know, and give them the money and things like that they need,
right?
Then, you know, I understand it. And, you know, I'm still good friends and still talk to, you know, 90% of them right now. You know what I mean? And so, and the other 10% can still call me at any time, and I'm still all right with them.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I don't hold nothing back. So, you know, with that kind of being said, that's kind of what I feel like as far as that, and that's, you know, that turnover type deal with the coaches.
Yeah, it is a part of the business. Now, as far as being able to stay connected and stay communicating with people, that sort of segues me into my next question. A coach of ours, or former coach of both of ours, now he's a friend of ours, Sidney Carter. You know, he told me some years ago that the way he measures how good a coach is or how good a coach was is by how much of a relationship he keeps or she keeps with their players after the players have graduated and moved on, and you can no longer benefit from that kid anymore. So how much contact are you in with some of you guys that played for you during your Muskogee era? I know you were tight with a lot of them, man.
Man, whew. No, I still try to keep in contact with a lot of them. I'm not a big contact person as far as me per se.
Yeah.
You know,
talking about you reaching out?
There's me reaching out.
I got you.
I mean, even in friendships, I got friends, maybe good friends and buddies that, you know, I might not talk to for 3 or 4 years, and, you know, they can call and I pick up on the first ring, but you never know, we ain't talked that long. You know,
right.
That's just kind of my thing, you know.
I'm guilty of that too.
You know what I mean? That's just me. But at the same time, like you said, the players and things, I talk to, you know, quite a few. A lot of times it'd be through hard times. When they'll call and pick up the phone, you know what I mean? When I got fired, you know, it was crazy things. When I got fired, I got more phone calls and text messages from either current, you know, players that I had or former players that I had. And,
right.
you know, just lifting me up and picking me up telling me, how much I meant to them, and, the way their life is now and things like that. And, to this day, I still get some of those calls and things. There's a couple of players that, they kind of stick with you. I had some on the girls' side, and I got a couple of them on the boys' side that I wouldn't say they was my best. They were my all-staters.
Right.
They wasn't the all-staters, but they were the ones that, that had you not been in that situation I put in those places, they could be very well out in the streets, out in the street,
right.
Or somewhere else,
right.
And a couple of those, have definitely reached out and, talked to me. And those things, I think those are the ones that I'm probably more proud of as a coach than I am my all-staters and, my record setters and,
right. The ones who got all the accolades.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love them too.
Sure.
Those are the guys that, kept me in the job. You know what I mean?
When you boil it down,
so, that's kind of what that is.
Gotcha. Now we're gonna pivot a little bit, and we got to talk about something that's really current. We're in a state of times right now that are unlike any other time periods that we've ever had. With the coronavirus or COVID-19, it's hitting everybody pretty hard, and it's affecting everybody directly or indirectly. So during this time period, first of all, where were you and what were you doing on the day that the world supposedly shut down? I still remember what I was doing. I think it was the Thursday. It was the Thursday of the state tournament week. Yeah. So, I'm in my mind getting ready to go for battle, but I know a lot of, school was going on and schools were getting let out. Like, what were you doing when you heard the news, man? And then how did you immediately react?
Well, see, the funny thing is during that time I had just lost my father. So on the 3rd, we had just put him to rest. Mm-hmm. And then that Thursday coming around, they had the whole shutout thing, the day before the funeral. So I was dealing with that mostly.
Right.
Trying to get the family affairs and stuff in order.
Right.
And so that's what we was dealing with mostly. And then, of course, I was getting ready to go support some good friends of mine. Rogers, made it to state again for the first time. You guys was on the watch list. You know what I mean? And so we had the alma mater, Booker T. They were on. They made it. You know what I mean? So it
was gonna be entertaining, man.
I had a bunch of those that I was ready to go watch.
True.
And so then when it shut down, it was like, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of glad we ain't here right now. Nah. But I wasn't too mad about not being at that point,
Right.
Once they came around. But it definitely hurt me to see all those kids just put in all those times, and those coaches that may only had one shot at the state championship, because you don't get very many of them.
No, man.
In a career. I mean,
it's
30,
not easy.
40 years, it ain't easy to get 1 or 2 or 3. So
getting there is something you really earn. Getting to the party.
Just getting there.
Yeah.
And just getting your ticket to the dance. It's hard. But then you get to that dance, and you got people that's been to the dance 20, 30 times and still ain't cashed in. And it was tough. And so for those, I hate to see what it would have been like. And so that's what was hard for them.
What did you feel the reaction was in the beginning? I'll be honest. I thought that we were overreacting a little bit, and maybe that's just me personally having some stuff that I was wanting to do that got disrupted because of that. But I thought that it was like a domino effect. I thought it was trendy. You got some of the big wigs, shutting down their entities, and then other people looking like, wait a minute. All right, well, since they shut down and maybe they know something I don't, let's shut it down. Kind of like when a player slips in the draft or something. Like, wait a minute. So, like, did you think we were right on point, or were we overreacting, you thought, in the beginning?
Well, I always thought, I kept, kind of had my own opinion as far as, like, I didn't think that, hey, maybe they was great shut it down earlier than what they did.
Haven't heard that one.
The thing I thought happened that really caused us as Oklahoma in its high school to shut it down was when the whole Dell City thing happened.
Yeah.
And so that information came out the morning of the state.
True.
And I remember that night before, the day before, that morning or whatever, early that morning, I got a text message from a buddy that showed me the pictures of the Dell City and things like that before it even happened. I said, oh, no, they got to shut this down, because now
the optics ain't good.
It ain't. You know what I mean? it's like it wasn't really close to home at the time, so you wasn't worried about it.
Right.
But once it got closer to home, it's like, oh, okay, hold on now.
Yeah, let's raise our eyebrows a little bit.
It's pretty close. So let's be safe. You know, better safe than sorry.
That's
you know,
right.
but a lot of us don't live our life safe than sorry. We kind of put our foot on that pedal a little bit.
Yeah. Life on the edge type
a
of
little
deal.
bit life on the edge. So. And I'm with you on that. I'm probably more foot on the pedal, so I would have went on ahead and played it. But I can understand being safe than sorry.
What have you been able to do to occupy your time during this down period of time?
Well, man, sure, I still had my cleaning business, so we still had to go do some of the cleaning.
You got to go and plug it now. You done said it.
Well, we got Berry Brothers Cleaning.
Brothers Cleaning.
So me and my brother, and we'd been doing that, and so we had a couple buildings that we still did, hospitals and things that we go into at night, and so we were doing that for a long time. So that helped occupy some of the time, and then just hanging out with the family, man, spending time with my girls.
Right.
Some things that you don't get to do when coaching.
Right.
Life for me as a coach, it was, wake up, get them ready. After we get them ready, we go to school. And from school is practice. After practice, you know what I'm saying, I was going to some cleaning gigs, and then from the cleaning gigs, I get home, you eat, then just go to sleep.
True that.
And I didn't really get to see them that much, and on the weekends you do, but once we started AAU season, it's like, hey, you're going on the weekends and you're going through the weekdays, and so you don't really get to see your kids as much. And I don't think that a lot of people and parents and people outside of the coaching world understands on how much of a strain a coach's family takes, by them spending time with other kids and other people.
Last thing, as far as the virus is concerned, have you been taking major precautions, or I'm pretty sure you've made some adjustments in your lifestyle during this time, but have there been major ones, or you still pretty much living like Josh Berry lives?
Oh no. It's been some. If you go look at my car right now, I got a box of gloves. I got Lysol. I got my hand sanitizer. Okay, so I take my Lysol spray everywhere.
And that ain't got nothing to do with Berry Brothers Cleaning, does it?
No, it doesn't. Okay. It doesn't at all. Listen, I take that stuff, and shoot, I'm the one at the pumps, and when you walk in the store, I got mask in the car.
Gotcha.
And so I've been masking up, I've been gloving up, since almost the start. And I Lysol all my groceries.
Straight up.
I Lysol myself down before I get out the cars, when I get in the cars, before I go in the houses and things like that. So I try to take as many precautions as I can like that. And it's not so much as I'm worried about myself,
right,
as it is I'm more worried about, hey, my girls,
True that.
I think I'll be all right, but, I don't want to see them, having to fight something because of, what I done done. So that's about, what I've tried to really, take into account. So that's what we've been doing with the whole virus, It's
safety,
trying to
baby.
play it as safe as possible, but now, can I be safer? Probably so.
Probably so.
But I
there is a fine
go
line.
insane.
Yeah, that's it. I was
probably
going to say,
insane.
it's like, but at some point, like, do we try to enjoy life, or are we just ducking up under a rock?
Yeah.
But anyway, now you've mentioned your baby girls quite a bit, man. And I've been blessed to know them a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How old are they now? You got two girls.
I got two.
JC's the oldest, and she's
6.
JC's 6,
and JoJo's 3.
JoJo's 3.
Those are my, I guess you would call them, quote unquote, biologicals.
I got you.
I got 2 other babies too.
Yeah.
And I got Dallas, which is just turned 11, and then I got Bree, which is in college right now. And that was the first ones that everybody got to see, and so
you got a lot of reach, man.
Yeah, and still dealing. I still trying to do things and help and be there for them as well, as much as possible.
I hear that. Now your babies, the last two, the latter two, right? Man, how is it How is it being a father? Just taking the coach hat off, because that's some experience I don't have. I don't have any children. I'm still watching the game from the sideline. But still relatively young. You know what I mean? You got the energy in you. You know what I mean? You still under 40, so you ain't even a middle aged man yet.
Yeah.
And you got kids that are young and spry and they active, man. So, what's that experience? What do you feel whenever you got them? You know?
Man, you just enjoy every moment of it, man. You enjoy their laughs, you enjoy their craziness, and you worry for them at the same time. You worry about what's going on. You worry about the world. You worry about, what kind of, are you doing everything right? Are you, are they going to be rebellious? Are they not, are they going to, be too dependent on you? You know what I mean? So it's just, it's that thin line, that you cross, and, you just take it day by day. But I love them, they change your life for sure. They change your way of thinking. They slow you down some,
right.
In the good ways. So that's all with them. It's like you just love them, and you learn to appreciate them. You learn to appreciate life a lot more when you got the little ones. Like I said, you don't live as far on the edge as you probably would have,
right?
When you got them, so. But you leave your legacy, you leave something behind, and you want to make sure that, that they get the best opportunities in life, and you want to get them better opportunities than you got. Mm-hmm. And so that's my whole goal right now, is just to make sure that when they finish college, when they finish high school, that they're in a better situation than I was when I got to that point.
How much do you care whether or not they pick up sports and play ball?
They're going to pick up sports.
Straight up.
They're going to pick up sports.
Sports in some capacity,
In some capacity.
Okay.
We got a few rules.
All right.
No cheerleading.
I knew you were going to say it, man. No cheerleading.
Okay. No cheerleading.
All right.
And I'm hoping, no softball or volleyball.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
Well, no cheerleading, no volleyball, because those sports are very expensive.
Daddy I have heard that.
Like that.
I've heard that.
Daddy probably say like that. When I just say no, they can't do it, I'm just hoping they don't.
You're hoping they don't.
Yeah, and in softball, it's very hot or cold. And you sit out there all day.
Yeah.
It ain't like AAU, you're going to be sitting in the gym. Even if it's hot in the gym, you're still under the roof.
That's right. Climate control.
But you out there on that softball field, it's either hot or cold out there.
Right.
It ain't no in between. And you out there all day.
Yeah, the early part of spring is not very nice sometimes.
No.
And we know summer. Cooking.
And you in Oklahoma too.
That's right.
So those are my stipulations that I'm hoping we don't get into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if they do, they do. And I'll be there for them. And if they decide to pick up a ball,
right, then
I'm gonna help them out. But I want it to be their choice.
I
want them to want to do it, because I've been around. I've had my nephew. I had Bree. I had ones that play the game, and so we just really been. And they've taught me how to try to separate state and church, you know what I mean, kind of deal. And
gotten better at it?
I think I've gotten better at it.
I hear you.
Others probably were different.
Yeah, can't please them all.
I'm still a sore loser, I still wear it on my shoulders, after we lose. So, it doesn't, you can't really just pick up the phone and call me,
I feel
after that.
You need a little space.
I need time.
I feel that.
Yeah, I need time.
What are some of the extracurricular activities that your daughters are into now? Because I follow you since I live in Oklahoma City now, and then we across the state. I gotta kind of watch things from a distance, and you always got videos uploaded of them on Instagram. Somebody singing or somebody's doing some gymnastics or swimming. Like, what are they mixed up in?
Man, right now it's just before all this was going on. My oldest, she was in gymnastics. She likes soccer. What I'm saying? And then the baby, she just likes to do whatever everybody else. But she's the one that kind of I think she's going to be daddy's girl as far as she's going to be picking up the ball. And I think it's going to be more just she know that's where I'm at all the time. If you ask her, she's going to tell you daddy at work. Where he at work, he at gym.
Yeah, he's at gym.
Yeah, at the gym. That's what she's going to tell you. You know what I mean? And so and coaching girls has been good for them. They've really been more involved and want to be more involved with the team.
Right.
Because it is girls, so they don't feel as intimidated by it. So, that's been good for them to be around them.
And I bet all them girls just love on them like a mug, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Anytime they get a chance.
Yeah. As soon as they see them walk in that gym. And I get it hard when they don't ever come, when they don't come. So they come in there, they do. The team loves them.
pretty much every parent of young children that I've ever talked to, they said, man, listen, when you got young children, you don't even matter no more. But folks, they don't even care about seeing you. You got the baby with you.
You got the baby with you.
Show up, hand the baby over, and then you can disappear in plain sight. Ain't nobody checking for you no more.
Yeah, I would say that's someone like my mom's. You know, she loves me, but she wants them babies first.
There you
know
go.
What I mean?
There you go.
But she sees so much of me, you know, and I understand that now. She sees so much of me in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's one of the things when you start seeing yourself in the kids that helps you out too a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's take it back to the court. Okay, you get hired head girls coach at Sand Springs, and the head boys coach over there, somebody we both know and have a lot of respect for, Eric Savage. You know what I mean? That cat, multiple time state champ. Made a hell of a name for himself at Tulsa Memorial before he ended up at Sand Springs a couple years before you got there. How impactful has he been, just being able to work alongside of and be in close quarters with him?
Well, he's always been somebody that I had like a lot of respect for.
True that.
And I've always, admired his coaching and his coaching style, because he's tough and he's hard on his kids.
Right.
And so now I'm just trying to get to see it firsthand has been good.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a good thing. And just trying to piggyback off of that. When you got a good, successful boys program, and you want to have a good, successful girls program, right behind it. You know what I mean? Because they kind of go hand in hand. When you both good, then the stands are feeling even more. The boosters and things like Booster Club and things like that's going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowds, they're going to be better. So, I just enjoy being around them, and getting to know them more because, you don't really get to know people not seeing them that much.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been one that's made the transition for me pretty easy and pretty smooth. Over there, along with our athletic director and our principals and things. They've been, and the superintendent, they've been real good about just making the whole transition pretty easy. They throw a jab, Coach Savage doesn't do it, but, the other ones, they throw a jab in there every now and again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my superintendent, she's thrown a jab in there every now and again.
I'm guessing the jab comes from what? Because most folks might not know this. I know this. You ended up having to compete against Coach Savage, right? Yeah. When you were coaching boys in Muskogee, he's got boys in Sand Springs, same conference. Y'all had to lock horns.
We did, and there was always some really good games.
True that.
Especially when the talent level Sand Springs had gotten up, and so it was some really good battles.
Mm-hmm.
Always came down to the end. And that's one thing about it is, in the coaching game, you get the respect of people and respecting people when you have a lot of those close battles.
Yeah.
Kind of deal, and so. That's just kind of how it was with us, It's just some really good ones.
Right. I'm curious to know this, man, because I went through it a time or two myself, and it was the first go around for you being in a spot like that. So when you go in and you interview, right? Obviously, the panel has done their due diligence, right? They call your references and get the information that they need before they even call you in to interview, right?
Right.
But that they're waiting for you to address the elephant in the room, which is your most previous experience when you got fired. Uh-huh. And I was given mixed advice about that. I was told, hey, man, wait till they ask you. And then other ones were like, go in there and attack it. So when you went in there, how did you address that, your previous stint?
Well, honestly, I don't even remember how it got addressed. We kind of said something, but again, they already had called.
It was understood.
They got the word.
Mm-hmm.
They called me, and not called me when they asked someone about it. So I guess they brought it up first a little bit, and was asked me about. They went a roundabout way of asking, hey, tell me about them. And so I just went on ahead and laid that all out on the table, and
right.
They was pretty much like, okay, well that's what we got too,
mm-hmm.
And so. I didn't hide any punches. I didn't, hide anything from it.
Mm-hmm.
This was what it was, and I disagreed with some things, and this is how it went.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was best for both parties, I guess, to go ahead and make that decision. And so that kind of was the deal with that, as
right.
far as going into it. So. All I was trying to do is they asked me the question and I just shot them straight forward because they already, like I said, they already did their background. They already got, know what's going on,
right.
What happened. So, I just tell them exactly what it was.
And it's always good when the stories add up, right?
Yeah, it is. And I'll be honest, there's sometimes the stories don't add up.
Right.
And that's because some people don't always ain't telling the whole story.
There's always that. And I think truth is so subjective, too. It's like how I felt about it could be totally different from the way you felt about it. Doesn't necessarily mean one of us is lying, but the truth is like somewhere in the middle here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But was there a second interview?
No, we didn't have a second interview.
Okay.
So we just had one interview, and then it was a long wait process.
Now, what's a long one? More than a week?
No, it was like a 2 or 3 week process.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was like one of them things where, okay, you gonna get it, think you're gonna get it, then it's like, oh no, you ain't gonna get it because now they done called all the references, they did this, and you're like, okay, well then they do that, it's gonna be something that's be told in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
But
you would think
nothing came my way, and nothing came, from the school as far as announcing somebody different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just like a long wait period, and here I am, in limbo as far as, well, shoot, what am I doing next year? Am I going back, to do some teaching stuff? Am I just want to, stay in Tulsa and do the cleaning stuff? What do I want to do with my life?
You're hanging in the balance.
Hanging in the balance.
That's the worst thing, because I'm not much of a waiter, and you're not either.
No.
But I guess you kind of had to. So when you got the call and they asked you, they invited you to take the job, what was the initial feeling, man? Was it like, I'm back?
It wasn't no I'm back.
No?
I think it was one of the bittersweet ones. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, cool, but now what? You know what I'm saying? What do I do now? Can I pick myself up? Can I get back in the gym, and can I have that same passion? You know what I mean? Am I gonna invest everything again my whole life? Am I gonna pour everything into it again, knowing that this same thing can happen?
True.
You know what I'm saying? And then what? You left for what? Nothing? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? To
Looking
pick up
at
the
yourself.
pieces again. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what you get into when you get that. But, my pops and, they always told me, if you're going to do something, you got to do it. You know what I mean? You're going to put your all into it no matter what.
That's right.
And that's kind of what I try to tell the players, and I explain that to them, my boys, the girls, whatever. No matter what you do in life, give it your all. Don't be afraid of failure. You know what I mean?
That's a huge
That's a lot
thing,
of
man.
people who are scared of failure. And a lot of my girls and stuff, they scared to fail. And if you ask my little ones, they're gonna tell you, we're not scared of failure. You keep trying till you can't, till you can get it. We don't say can't. They know that. That's a word. If I ask them right now, they say no, we don't say that word.
We don't say that word.
Yeah, but so it's one of them things where, you just try to pick up the pieces. You try not to, you give it your all. But initially it was, hey man, can I do this? Do you have it in you? And once you got in there, and the first day I met the girls, you get in there excited. You remember what it's like again to be in that new foundation, that new program, that new thing,
right,
where people are excited, and it's not like you got to pull teeth to get things going.
Right. So it didn't take long for that fire to reignite in your belly. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. Just a couple steps in the gym, and it was there.
Yeah.
Like I said, different color schemes, and over the last decade or whatever, but all the same once you step in between that lines. If
That's
you go
good.
back and look at some film when I was at Rogers, saw some film when I was in Independence, Kansas, of me working. It's the same energy. It's the same thing. It's the same deal. Some of the drills are probably going to be exactly the same. And
It don't always have to be sexy.
All girls or boys.
That's true.
And so that's that thing. It just picked right back up once you got in that gym. They all the same.
Yeah.
10-foot goal. So.
What was this first year like? Because you just finished your first season, and I know that some of the challenges when you first take over another program, you got veterans, I'm sure, whether you have a bunch or not a whole lot, but sometimes those veterans have allegiance to the previous coach, and so building that trust with a new guy for just 1 year, sometimes that's tricky. And I know you dealt with that on the boys' side when you first took over down there in Muskogee. So what was this go round about? Was it a seamless transition?
Well, I'll tell you this: the situations was similar, but it was totally different as far as like the expectation levels of it. Coming in last year, the previous year, Sand Springs had been, to the state tournament 3 straight years. I think they hadn't lost no more than 4 or 5 games each of those seasons. They got a girl that's at KU, a girl at TU, girl that went to NSU, girls that went to other sports, to OSU, and so they have a lot of Division I players that play basketball in the last few years. When the group that I had inherited are the ones that I got when I got there. Those wasn't the girls that I got.
Right.
You know, so the expectations of it was a lot different.
Right.
Okay, so I gets in there, and you know, there really a lot of kids that hadn't really got their time to shine yet, except for one, and she really was a role player versus she played a lot, but she was still a role player instead of a main player.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? And so, you know, trying to get those kids to, okay, finally you get your shot, to believe in it and things like that.
Yeah, now you get a chance to expand your role.
You get a chance to expand your role, and now you get your shot at it. So let's see what you know, because most of them probably was crying the years before.
Yeah, talking
noise. Talking, saying, hey, I should be playing more, I should be doing it. But now you got your chance, you know. And so a lot of them responded pretty well. I think the biggest challenge that I had is, what was it, right before October 1, we got some transfers. The first day of official practice.
Wow.
We got one really good one from that was a sophomore, and one really good freshman. That ended up being really good, but nobody knew that as a freshman.
Sort of a diamond in the rough, huh?
Right. And then we had another one that she won't be able to touch the court till next year as a sophomore. But so we get these transfers in the first day of practice. I mean, official practice, and they're pretty good. So now it's like, okay, well, we've been doing all this work, and now you got to try to mix this talent in with this other talent, and then you got to try to get these girls that don't know each other, that, you know, trying to get them to mesh. And you find yourself in some crazy situations, and I think that's what it was. You know what I mean? It's trying to pick that up. Right. So for the most part, you know, that's what we did. Was trying to mesh a bunch of girls into some new roles. Yeah. With new friends and new teammates, all like that.
In a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time. We didn't have the summer. We didn't have, you know, the spring to get everybody going.
True that.
You know, no spring, no summer. You know what I'm saying? We had the fall, but then the fall got cut because we had a new group that came in at that time. So all the bonding stuff that we did all the way up to October 1, okay, well now we got a new group. Now there's going to be a different kind of bonding because now we just added three new pieces. Well, come Christmas break, after Christmas break, we come back in January, we get another new piece, another transfer.
Wow.
Okay, from a school in the district.
Gotcha.
And I mean, in our conference as well.
Right.
So
what grade is this one?
That one, she's a sophomore as well.
Well, you've been blessed, man.
So you know, now it's like, okay, well, we got this new girl. Well, I don't know anything about them. So we get to learning as they get in the gym. And so, okay, well, how can we integrate this to help us out to be a better team?
Right.
And, you know, with that came playing time. And with playing time came cutting other playing time, you know, in other people's playing time.
Right.
And so, that happened, and, you know, so you have some turmoil and some rift and things like that.
Right,
but,
got some resistance.
Some resistance. So, you know, and all that's what we dealt with most of the season. But I think for us, we exceeded a lot of them. You know, we didn't lose to anyone under the top. Well, we lost to a top 12 team. So anybody under that wasn't ranked top 12 and 6A, we didn't lose to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all our losses, 7A was 8 in the beginning. 8 losses with the playoff, but our 7 regular season losses were all to top 12 or below ranked teams. So, you know, with that being said, it ended up being a pretty solid first year, and, you know, we got them to play together as much as possible.
So, yeah, I guess not the bonding, that's the wrong word. Let's say the buy-in. There was that kind of topsy-turvy.
You know what? That's the good thing about the girls. Okay. And the buy-in is a lot better with the girls than it is with the guys.
When you say better, do you mean sooner? It happens sooner?
Okay. It happens sooner. With the guys, you know, they're a little hard-headed, especially this would have been a lot of their third coach in 3 years. When I got to Muskogee, it was their third coach in 3 years too, as well. So it was a lot more to gain their trust than it was to gain some trust of some girls, you know, of the girls there. So that was a lot easier to do. But again, it's still you do deal with the sensitive part of it.
True that.
Type deal. So, and all in all, I think at the end of the day, when you're dealing with a lot of stuff, it comes down to the kids are good. Boys or girls, the kids are okay. The kids will adjust. The kids will make the adjustments and are more willing to change than any of us. The thing I think that really happens is the parent. Okay,
if they'll leave them alone,
don't like
sometimes.
to change.
Right.
Parents don't like changes unless it benefits the individuals.
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids accept roles and do roles, but it's the parents that don't want them to be in those roles. They want bigger roles,
That's right.
and because they want them, you want your kid to be whatever they are. You want them to be bigger than that. You know what I mean? But as coaches and as people that's in there daily, we know that, hey, Josh, you probably just a really good defender. You know what I mean? You're just a good rebounder.
Right.
But be the best rebounder.
Be the best at it.
Yeah, now in the spring, summer, we can work on the other stuff and we can get better at it.
Just not on team time.
Not on team time. So, I think that's where where a lot of confusion or a lot of hardship come in from the coaching part of it is when the parents interject their feelings into their kids daily and the thoughts of what the team should be, what the team needs to be, and who needs to do X, Y, Z versus the actual coaches that are around that group. Maybe not the individual, but the group, more than the parent is around that group.
True that.
You know what I'm saying? And then trusted, that. And I think Michael Jordan them had one of the best clips of that new Bulls thing is when he went home and his mom said, well, if you don't like being cut or you don't like, not playing, then work hard.
Work hard. Just that simple.
Just that simple.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing else.
To your point, you make a great point because I think it comes down to fight or flight for these kids. And a lot of times they will conform to what they know it's going to be. Either that or they'll quit. And if they quit, then that's really good news because at some point they were going to quit on you anyway. And probably when you start needing them, and then then it's like they let go of the rope and that hurts, man. Golly, that hurts.
Yeah, I agree. That is.
Okay, so what were your expectations coming in? Did you have any for this first year?
Well, coming in, initially, I just, like I said, I never really just have no. I mean, I shoot for a go ball every year. That's gonna be our back of our mind all year. You know what I mean?
If you can get it.
But at the same time, I am a realistic person. And I just wanted to see. Well, let's see if we can get these girls as good as we possibly can. And then let's see what's going to happen. Because, I hadn't been on the girls' side for a while. I've played in the same conference. I've seen some of the girls. I've seen some of the teams. But it's different when you got to study them and you got to know them. The good thing is I come into a conference where I've either played against some of the coaches, or on the boys' side, or I played with played against them when I was at Rogers on the girls' side at some point in time.
That's familiarity.
So there was some familiar people on the opposite side a lot of times. So, that kind of thing. But that's about it, really.
Yeah. I think you correct me if I'm wrong. I think that there's a point in every season where a team starts to turn the corner and start to turn into like the version of themselves where you may think that, okay, I'm starting to see what we could become. And at that point, if you didn't have expectations, you might get some like, oh snap, we might be a little better than what I thought. Maybe we can do this. Can you think of a turning point this season where you're like, okay, we're turning into something?
That, as we got to going, that first game against Ponca City, I know they were very good, and they ended up making it to state. But that first game against Ponca City, our first game coming out, we won. Yeah. We won quite handily, and their best player, didn't do so well.
Right.
And so I thought at that point, I said, "Oh shoot, okay, well, we might have something right here. We might have a chance right here."
Yeah, this year.
And then we went on and we won some games, and we go into the Bishop Kelly tournament, and we find ourselves basically unraveling in the middle of the tournament. I mean, in the middle of the tournament, middle of a game, the team we just unravel. I mean, when I say unravel, we've gone separate ways.
You can see it.
It showed. It showed verbally. It showed physically. It showed on the court. And I think that day, in that locker room, we end up winning. We end up I ended up rallying them a little bit, enough to beat a good Ada team. You know, we came out in overtime and won in overtime, and it was an overtime victory. And we just, I mean, everybody's, you know, at that point, you just won an overtime game. Your natural reaction is you high. You happy.
Yeah. Emotions are running high, but it's positive though.
But it's positive at that time. But they just forgot about all the turmoil that we just went through.
Yeah.
But we went into that locker room, and I just went off. It was the first time I had went off, you know, this whole season. I mean, I just went off about, you know, individuals and things like this and things that was going on. And after that next night we came against a better Jinx team, and we just handled them. You know, we did really and won the championship. And at that point is when I think we really started turning, taking that turn. And I think some of the girls started believing like, hey, we really can compete. We really can be, you know, this good. And, you know, I still don't think we've quite reached the point where we should have been.
Right.
Or probably could have been.
We never do as coaches.
No, we don't. and you know, I just hate that. But I thought we maximized what we had.
I feel that.
And the opportunities we had.
So the promise moving forward is pretty good. Possibilities, you know. I don't want to
possibilities is, you know, we losing 3 seniors.
Right.
You know, two of them that played a whole lot, and then one that was really good emotional, good support person, good practice person, good, you know, the one that got along with everybody. You know, everybody looked at, respected.
One of those glue type girls.
Yeah, and so, you know, those are going to be hard to replace. And people always see young, talented teams, and they're like, oh, man, they're going to be better next year when they, you know. But then they just forget about that 1 or 2 people that they did lose can make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 of them played a lot. You know, so who's to say the shoes that people that's going to be filling them are going to fill them as well as they did, or do those things better than what they did.
That's right.
You know, and you won't know that. You know, and I can go back to my high school years, you know, when we was at Booker T. You know, my senior year was just myself and Levi Harris, you know, that were the seniors, you know, on an undefeated state championship team. And those same rumors is, hey, they're going to be even better because all those juniors was going to be back. All those sophomores and freshmen that were real good, they're going to be back. They're only losing 2 people, 2 guards. Well, one of them was the best scorer, okay? And then the other one was probably one of the better defenders, you know what I mean? And they was willing to do everything or anything.
That's right.
You know, on the court.
And that was you, just for viewers who don't know what you're talking about. I know you're trying to keep it subtle, keep it humble. The defender right there.
And so, you know, that was something that was lost. You know what I mean? And so when you lose that, they were really good, but they just it wasn't the same. And they end up, you know, getting upset in the state championship that year, but by Memorial.
By Memorial then. Oh, yeah, in 03, right?
Yeah, buzzer beater.
Gotcha.
So, you know, that was that kind of thing. So that's why I say you can't say we're just going to be better, but we do have a lot of young talent coming back.
There you go.
They do have a lot of potential. And I think, I guess the quote-unquote best player, she hadn't even begun to get to where she's going to be.
She ain't even scratching the surface yet.
And so that's a good thing.
Hell yeah, it is. 2
So,
more things I want to throw at you. You mentioned, and you've been doing a good job of segueing, by the way. So I'll let you know. It's like you can see what I'm thinking. But looking internally at the player that you were during your high school career and even your college career, have you run across a player that you've coached at any level that mirrors you to where you saw a lot of yourself in him or in her?
I think a couple players that I would say would be my boy Chuck and you know, and Roger, 2 people that, you know, maybe not being needed as much offensively, but willing to do whatever it took to get on the team. You know, spend all the time in the gym.
Right.
You know, came to work kind of deal.
Me and Tavian were just clowning, just talking noise about them 2 the other day, man. Old Charles, CJ Evans.
and you know, and I think, you know, out of all, I think like one day that CJ would probably be a really dang good coach.
I can see that.
Somebody that can coach. But I think I see my situations and things in them. You know, I had a couple girls, Taylor, that I coached at Rogers. You know, I can see a lot of my similarities and things like that, and I think that's why, we got along so well. Didn't get along at times.
Right.
But, it's just our willing to fight and just persevere, and try to prove people wrong. You know what I mean?
True underdog mentality.
True underdog mentality. And so I think those are the ones that probably remind me of myself the most. My nephew kind of reminds me he could score it better.
Tyrese Berry.
Yeah, he could score it better. Tavian as well, but Beasley. They were just better scorers than I was.
Mm-hmm.
I give an opportunity, I would say.
I
ain't
feel
gonna
it.
just say it like that because
I got you. That's the competitor coming out right there.
But,
it's funny how that fire never goes out, man. You're still competing.
No, it does. It doesn't. But I tell you what, one thing about it now, you learn when the times it got you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I learned the last few times playing it.
See you rubbing on your knees. I don't know what that's about.
You can't move you can't move and do as much as you used to.
I hate you,
know
man.
What I mean?
It's like that.
Luckily, I still look like I can move and do all those things.
That's my main goal. I just want to.
Unlike some of my old colleagues, you know what I mean.
Listen.
We don't want to throw nobody out there, but some of my old colleagues, some of my old people, you know what I mean. They don't quite look the part they used to look.
They gonna remain nameless.
They gonna remain nameless.
Man, listen. All I know, I'm like you. My goal is to at least look like I used to do this.
That's what I'm
saying. At some
saying.
point in my life.
So that way they could look at me. Players could someone look at me and say, "Hey, man. Okay, well, he looked like he used to could play. He might have could have played.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I might listen to him."
That's right. Just might. Makes those stories more believable.
Yeah.
Now here's how we gonna end it, man. This is how I end all of my podcasts when I have sports individuals on here. I want you to go back in time. All right, and we can make it two-part, as a player and as a coach. A matchup where you lost and you shouldn't have lost. You know what I mean? So if it's a team that got the best of you on any given night, whether you were playing or coaching, and you know that your squad was the better squad, but for whatever reason they got the best of you that one, and if you hit the rewind button and go back and run it back, you'll go to that.
Woo. Which one first? The player?
Let's go as a player during your playing years, high school or college, whichever one you want to pick.
I think as a player we'll go college years, Sterling. We're playing in the conference champion tournament and playing for the championship chance to go on and play for the internationals.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been senior year. So that was my junior year coming in there, and I think that group that we had were better,
mm-hmm.
And we ended up losing it. And I actually turned it over. That year, and we ended up losing that game at the buzzer, down the stretch by like 1 or 2 points. But I think we were clearly the better team, better group coming into it. They had the better record, but we had the better record against them.
Mm-hmm.
But that day leading into it, about 3 or 4 of us had the flu type deal going on.
Most symptoms,
and so, I don't think we played our A game that day,
mm-hmm.
and it cost us in the end. So that's a moment, a time that I look at as a player.
Yeah, you want that one back, okay?
Yeah, high school I didn't lose a varsity game because I didn't play varsity my senior year. So
right, and then your senior year y'all went undefeated.
We went undefeated, so that's not very much I can look at that one and say.
Man, not everybody's so blessed.
No.
All right.
No. Yeah.
Now, what about as a coach? And you got any matchups that you had in your grasp and then let it slip?
Man. There's a few, I guess, regular season matchups that come to mind. One that teaches me a good lesson is when the boys was playing Sand Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Savage had just got that job that year, and they hadn't won many games that year at all. I don't think they won in a conference in a long time. Well, we went in with a better team. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of knew we were going to win the game. So early on, we're up by 27, and I sub everybody. I sub everybody. I do that. I sub everybody. I play everybody. I clear the bench. Well, they got a kid on there that just gets hot. He is like 6 threes or something like that in a row. And then he cuts the lead. Well, they did have 2 really good guards at the time.
True that.
And, if you give Coach Savage a close game, he can kind of control it.
Yeah, he's a hell of a coach now.
And so that's what happened. So I called myself and throwing my starters back in, and
cold.
It was a team that we went to state with, and it was that group. But threw them back in, and the rhythm never just picked up, and we ended up losing that game in overtime. But that one loss right there. So if anybody ever wants to know why I might leave my starters in a little bit longer, or why I ain't went to that bench as early, and I play a lot of people still. I still do play a lot.
Yeah, you've always had a pretty big rotation.
Yeah, but I don't go all the way down so fast. No more. You know what I mean? And
You've
that's
been scarred.
why that taught me to never underestimate a opponent. Ever. You know what I mean? Because that was a game that potentially could have, it ended up working out for us in the end because we ended up making the state by the path we had. But it could have hurt us too, because it dropped us. That one game can, like I said earlier, that 1 or 2 games can make a difference on your seeding. So I think as a coach, that was a big one that I felt like that I just look back to say, man, that's one we should have had. The other one was my first girls playoff game as a coach. We was playing against Claremore.
And this is during the Rogers era?
This is Rogers.
Okay.
My very first year at Rogers. We only had 6 wins, but we had gotten a lot better by the playoff time. We're playing against Claremore. And they're like the 4th seed, and we're coming in. And the day before, when I just told you, Taylor, she was my best point guard.
Right.
And unfortunately, she didn't turn some work in, that she was supposed to turn in. And our principal and everybody, and she didn't go to the teacher like they did. So before the game, she ran and tried to hurry up and turn it in, and then the principal and everybody, everybody okayed. Now she good. You can play. It's all right. It got up. Teacher okayed it. Everybody okayed it.
Right.
I made the decision to set her because she was a junior, a sophomore at the time, and so that was my way of teaching her a lesson. We ended up losing the game by 3 points, and we had a lead, and they scored down the stretch. And there's no doubt in my mind that if she plays, I win my first playoff game, and we probably go on and win a couple more playoff games, and who knows, we might have been in the state back-to-back years versus just that next year. But I can say this, that she had never, the next 2 years, she was never on the ineligible list or close to being on the ineligible list for them next 2 years of her playing time. So that made a difference on that. You know what I mean?
You played the long game.
I played the long game on that. So that was one of them things like that I had done. But that was a game that I felt like that we were the better team and we should have won.
Even without her?
Even without her a little bit.
Even without her, you think
but
you
with
got
her, I know we would have. And I knew that going into it, if I got her, we could beat them. But without her, it was gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, because we didn't have a deeper rotation anyway.
Right.
So other than that, man, I think for the most part, I look back at a lot of things, and a lot of games was some 50-50. Now, was there a lot of games that down the stretch that, you could have did something different? Yeah. True. I think every loss that I've taken, I look at it and say, I could have done something different.
Straight up.
So, and that's just the competitor me being hard on myself, and always pointing the finger at me first versus the players. Now, when we win, I give the players the credit. Right. You know what I mean?
That's how it goes in the court of public opinion anyway. The players win, coaches lose.
Coaches lose, and that's the way it is. You know what I mean? But that's the way I kind of go about it. And even with that being said, I always tell people this, that as a coach, you're only as good as your players are. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can be the best coach in the world, but if you don't have any talent, you don't have kids that can put it in a hole, you don't have people that can execute your dream or your plan of action, then you're not going to be very successful no matter what happens. You know what I mean? And so you always got to remember to give your kids and your players they credit, and they do diligence. You know what I mean? And so for me, my wins and my state appearances and things like that wouldn't have been possible without the players that I had, and without them believing in it, without them putting in the work and making the plays. You know what I mean? And so I look at that more than I do myself. That they're really good.
Very noble of you, my friend. Well, that's what we call a wrap, my man. I appreciate you being so gracious with your time. And, I got your brother of mine. That's why I look at you, man. You had a lot. You had a lot to do with getting my coaching career started. I'll never forget that. Been watching you closely and from a distance. So I got to wish you luck moving into next season. Hopefully we can get back to normal life real soon, and we'll see what your Lady Sandites can do moving into next season, my man.
And hopefully have a good one. I like to host that Go Ball one day as a player and as a coach.
I'm telling you, man, not many people can say they did that.
It is. Right there.